Well, my name is Laurice, and I'm an international star. I've been in the business for about 50 years, and I've done all sorts of music. I'm a writer, a songwriter, and I'm also a successful songwriter and recording artist. And I've had quite a few hits in my time. And I'm experiencing right now a career revival, which is a real surprise to me, but very nice. Well, I was born in North Wales, a little seaside town, resort town called Ross-on-Sea, in 1944. So the war was still raging. Makes me feel ancient. I mean, when I was 2, I could put a needle on a record player. When I was 2. My mother was a professional singer before she got married, and I suppose I got the bug. She would sing around the house when she was cooking and cleaning dishes and stuff, and I would sing with her. And then, because it was such a dysfunctional family, I would shut myself off in a room with the record player and sing with the singers that I liked. And my father brought me a Grundig tape recorder. It was a big old thing, you know, in those days. It was the 50s. It was a really big deal, and I was able to record myself on them. And what it did was, listening to those, I learned how to phrase. I really learned how to sing and stretch my voice. When I went to London, I was like, I took to the microphone like a duck to water. I knew how to vocalize. Well, I got my degree at Leeds University in English, language and literature and history, combined honours. Well, I loved literature and history, and if I wanted to get into the music business, I wanted to learn to write songs. That's a great help. In fact, I took something called the Strong Campbell Inventory Test. Oh, well, it was a massive series of questions. I mean, loads and loads of questions. I don't know how many it seemed. And they asked you, would you rather do this or do you do that? What do you prefer? And this and that and the other. And you put your little X. But I thought some of the questions were ridiculous. Would you rather be a lathe operator or a film star? Well, of course I'd want to be a lathe operator. I'd never forget that question as long as I live. The results worried them so much, though, the tutors at university. They called me in, and they had a psychiatrist there as well. And they were very, very concerned about the results. And they said, Mr. Marshall, why did you come to university? I said, to prove I could do it. And I said, well, what were the results? And they said, well, the only thing, it seems, from these results that you're fitted for is to be a singer and a songwriter, which is what you picked at the beginning. They asked you, what would you like to do after? They said, that's the only thing you're fitted to do. Oh. So they made me take it again. And I got exactly the same result. And after I graduated, I went to London and went straight into the music business. I worked for a famous songwriter, I worked for Pi Records, and I also was a session singer in London for years and years and years. You really had to hustle for gigs in London. Because of those recording sessions, I was able to stretch my voice and sing anything I really wanted to, and I really did. For some reason, the BBC in the early to mid-70s favoured American records. Like quite a few artists, we got really fed up with this. But when I left for Canada, I became a genuine Canadian disco diva, and I had some global worldwide hits. My disco was regarded as very progressive at the time, the disco spaceship in particular, and it was far ahead of its time. Disco had a certain set of beats and certain set of what they did. Well, I went like, I made it more progressive. I put a lot more percussion in it. I put there was string. I had a 60-piece orchestra. And I was also regarded as a real weirdo. They really didn't know how to take me. After that, something went wrong with the record company. They suspended my record contract, and I went to the States and became a manager for other artists as well as doing other recording projects. They regarded disco as black and gay. It was very racist, very homophobic, and that's really why they did this to me. Well, I managed about 4 singers in California. The only problem I had with them is that I gave them instructions about what to do and everything that were totally ignored. And I said, nobody is going to break down the doors to come and sign you up. You have to get out there. When I was a young man, I was hustling, for studio session gigs, vocal gigs. In London, I had to work really hard at that. They had no intention of working hard. In the end, I had to fire them. In 2001, I decided to take a break and decided to retire from the music business because I thought, I've recorded and written so many hundreds of songs, and I thought it was time to bow out gracefully. So for the next 10 years, I lived a life of domestic bliss with my partner, Larry Dean Norton. And we moved from California to Cologne. All of a sudden in 2011, I got an email from a fan in England and told me that a gentleman who owns a boutique record company in Brooklyn wanted to re-release When Christine Comes Around, and I'm going to smash her face in, on vinyl. He wore me down because I thought it was a joke at first. I wasn't taking it seriously. And it sold out. So he asked me if he could release a Best of Laurice Volume 1, so some of my old recordings. And he did that. It was quite successful. So they released the Best of Laurice Volume 2. And that did well. So in the meantime, I was asked to write some songs for a very well-known punk rock band in America, and they kept rejecting the stuff and then vanished. And I was left with all these demos, and I thought, what am I going to do with them? So I thought, you know what, I'm going to remix them, write a couple more songs, and put it out, and we did. And that was my Gator album. I mean, I never expected to be recording again, but I did. After that, I released my Balladeer album, and also became involved at the same time in YouTube videos, music videos, and I've got tons of them on the net now, thanks to Larry, and it's been very exciting. Well, the industry left me behind because I wouldn't play ball. I didn't want to sign a 7-year contract with a company. It was just slave labor, and they can bury you. The snow is falling, romance is falling. There's a price to pay if you want to be with a major label. Yes, you take the risk of, yes, you can maybe get better exposure, but they can also bury you. So you see, it's two sides of the same coin. And I did not want to take that chance. When I was in Calgary recently, I performed in Calgary. There were two acts that performed before me, and one of them was a solo artist, a very good solo artist called Tommy Grimes. And I told him, I said, whatever you do as a young gay artist, just press on. Don't let anybody stop you, because you will get lots of people telling you, you can't do it and this and that and the other. I couldn't have done the things that Tommy is doing today in that period. It just wouldn't have been acceptable. I would never have been on TV. I would never be videotaped. Yes, my advice to all young gay artists, lesbian artists, transgender, whatever, just carry on doing what you do and don't let anybody stop you. Because when you're at the bottom, they'll try and stop you, and God knows what they do when you're at the top. So just press on. Persevere. I've not really had much support from the gay community ever, actually. Even though I've been a gay activist and I supported the gay movement, I can't say they reciprocated, I'm afraid. Maybe it's because they just didn't understand me. I think in a way I was too progressive. I was kicked around a lot, in England before I even got to Canada, and I learned to distrust people. But I realized that I'd have to do it on my own, because nobody else was going to do it for me, and I just did what I wanted to do. And, I'm really proud about that. But, I paid a terrible price for it. I have to say, it's been a real grind. I mean, for all those 5 minutes of glamour on TV, there's 5 years of hell, getting there. And Christmas magic all year through. I found my Valentine at Christmas, a few weeks short of Cupid's day. Didn't